Hello and welcome to Connected. Now, in recent decades, artificial intelligence, or AI, has come out of its niche in science fiction, has become used widely almost everywhere in the most mundane things and even in households. But as anyone who's used an AI assistant on their smartphone, you'll know that the technology is often more artificial than it is intelligence. Regardless, clever algorithms can now create images, music, video, and text. And many people worry that this technology will put professionals and artists out of work. So to help talk about this topic a little bit more, we're going to be connecting to Jason Allen, who is in the US, and Shen Bo-cheng. I'll start with you, Jason. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're connected to this topic?
Hi, Divya. Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Jason M. Allen. I am the president and CEO of Incarnate Games Incorporated, and more recently with the my new company, Art Incarnate Incorporated. So as many people already know, I was the guy that entered into an art competition at the Colorado State Fair last year with a piece of artwork that I created using AI tools, and it won first place in the digital category. So it created quite a stir, and it's been a wild ride and quite a whirlwind since that all happened.
Shen Bo-cheng, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're connected to AI art.
Hello, Divya and Jason. And I'm a professor in the Taiwan National University for Arts, Department of Sculpture. And mostly I curated about the AI technology art exhibitions in Taiwan. And I studied about the history, about the new technology, how to influence the art society and the history in the contemporary art.
Okay, look like both of you are very well versed in this topic. So I'm going to start here with you, Jason, as promised. We actually have some of your AI-assisted artwork to show the audience, and with your permission, of course, if that's okay. We would like to have a look at this because, as you mentioned, it won a rather small art competition, but it's caused quite a big stir. Here it is, quite a stunning image. Jason, can you tell us a little bit about what made you use AI to create this and what it took to get this image?
Sure. So the winning piece is Théâtre d'Opéra Spatiale, which was the first image that you showed there. I entered 3 images into the competition. This is the 3rd one. So at the beginning of last year, I started seeing artwork that I've never seen before in my lifetime. And I knew it was AI. I was on the fence about it. I wasn't sure exactly, like many people, how to feel about artwork that is created using artificial intelligence. But when I started seeing what Midjourney could do, I became convinced that this was something I had to explore, that I couldn't ignore it anymore. The power was quite obvious. And as soon as I got onto Midjourney, I was like a kid in the candy store. I did so much testing, weeks and weeks of testing. I was very active and involved with the Discord Midjourney community. I created this encyclopedia of sorts. It was like a guide to help people with their prompts. And as soon as I had that tool, that resource, I started creating. Well, I was like in a hypnagogic state one day. I started imagining like women in Victorian dresses wearing space helmets. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I've never thought of or seen anything like that before. And so I started, using that, something related to that in my prompts. And that's how Space Opera Theater was born.
So you touch on a few points here. One, the common misconception, or maybe even it is possible that you could create AI art in minutes if you wanted. But in this sense, it seems like you spent a lot of time, hours, tens of hours, weeks you were talking about to create this. I want to get back to that. But first, Bo-cheng, you saw those images there. Can you tell us what the reaction has been in Taiwan and your reaction to when you realized that this was made from AI art?
Okay, let's talking about the Midjourney first, because I also use the Midjourney in my class, because I teach about how to write about artworks. Therefore, I encourage my students to describe artworks with vision, because while we read the words, we can see through the artworks. Therefore, the Midjourney will be a quite a great practice tools. For example, if they're facing about one piece of Rembrandt's artwork, then they describe it in the Midjourney. The Midjourney will generate a new work compared with the original works, and then you will find it's quite different, and it's very difficult to fit with the original one, which will help the students to more accurate to describe about the authentic artworks. That is for very first part. And second part is, as I said, it's just like Jason Allen talking about. It takes a lot of techniques and practice times to modulate more accurate than the original one, and that's also to create a new and of course that to create a new kind of artworks in Midjourney it takes times and the skills, just like the ways before using pens and brushes and pens is same kind of things. Therefore, I think the Midjourney is a kind of a tool. Yep.
It seems like both of you are on the same page on this, but there are a lot of people out there in the art community, and particularly in social media, who have a very different point of view. I want to get you to listen to some of these tweets here. As one Twitter user pointed out, AI-generated images are generally made from stealing other people's art. It filters through thousands of art online, then uses what it likes, and then it turns it into something else. That's why a lot of artists are really against AI-generated art. Okay, Bo-cheng, well, it seems like you want to respond to this. Go for it. Tell me what you think.
I think it's quite interesting because every artist was cultivated and educated in schools. What they learned, art history. What is art history? The piles and piles of artworks in the past. So every artist was created artworks from or based on the big and huge database about the past artworks, and AI just used the same kind of things to cultivate the AI. So it's quite similar.
But it's a lot quicker. It's at your fingertips. I suppose for me, it would be like Googling an article about something I want to write about, and then just taking excerpts from various articles and piecing them together, which is the. But I will let Jason tell us his process and why you believe that perhaps may not be accurate.
Right. That's not the argument that they're making, though. They're not making the argument that it's too fast. They're saying that it's stealing, and it's just not. So that's rooted in the very fundamental misunderstanding of how the technology works. If you study into deep learning and diffusion and the actual process, it's not stealing or copying or storing away these images in a database. It literally is looking at them and creating calculations that are much higher associations that human can make using matrix mathematics. If you study into it, it only takes like 30 minutes of reading about the diffusion process of how these work. It's literally like showing a computer an image, and it just looks at it and it associates that with text that's describing it and creates a new association, and then it doesn't need the image anymore. It just needs to look at it one time. And if it is stealing, then that means every time you look at a piece of artwork, like if you look at this, that means you're stealing, because that's going through your neural network when you perceive it. It's going into your memory bank, and then you recall upon that what that means and what that looks like. So and then you put that into your artwork. They're constantly moving the goalpost, and it just doesn't work with me. It's like a misrepresentation of the technology. There's what we need to first think about is that we're referring to AI as though it's human, like we're collaborating with another person. AI is not human. It never will be human. And so stop ascribing human characteristics to something that is not human, but at the same time recognize that this is the most, advanced form of human freedom of creation that has ever been devised. And it's antithetical to the whole idea of what an artist stands for, to be against something that's so profound like that. It's very confusing. The whole argument of AI is duplicitous throughout. It's fascinating.
Right, you touch on so many interesting points there, Jason. But I think one of the fundamental issues here, as with anything over the years, is the fact that many people are concerned that AI will start taking over jobs or make them obsolete. Now, I want you to have a look at these images here and take a listen to this. The skepticism about robots taking jobs from artists is nothing new. In the late 1920s, when movies started including synchronized sounds, performers who had been playing music live in theaters were suddenly no longer needed. So in 1930, newly created Music Defense League in the US began sponsoring ads like this. Now, these ads, of course, seem comical now, but is there a kernel of truth there? Can AI art or being able to use these tools take away certain jobs, like creating book covers, or where people want to basically have images quickly and cheaply, or perhaps at no cost, so then that makes one's jobs that were done by artists obsolete?
Sure. So you just described the essence and purpose of technology. Technology is designed to make things faster, more efficient, more available, accessible to everyone, advancing us as a species, expanding our minds, extending what makes us human. I see this as an opportunity. People that are afraid of it certainly are going to be against it and gatekeep and say it's taking away our jobs. Meanwhile, there are other people who are creating entire new industries and creating artwork at a pace that they've never been able to do before, making more money instead of complaining about it. And, awesome. That's great. That's what it should be used to do. We need to look at the past as an example for the present. All those examples that you just showed us are ridiculous now, and rightfully so, because this is ridiculous. We will laugh at this in the past, like, yeah, everyone thought it was going to be the end of art, just like the camera, And, I also want to mention that it seems like a lot of these arguments are only coming from the artistic community. I have nothing bad to say about them, but they certainly have a lot of bad things to say about each other. So if you look at Monet, he was criticized as being not an artist. He, they said it was an impression of art. He actually, the critic that said that defined the new movement that he was in. Picasso was considered satanic and, shouldn't be acknowledged. Even Bekshinsky, when he was taking surreal photography, they said this has no place in the photography space, and on and on and on it goes. So anytime a new movement comes about, artists rise up and they lash out and they complain about it. It's just now it's so much more powerful than we've ever seen before that they seem it has merit, but it just doesn't. It just means we're advancing faster. So that's my take.
On that note, then, I want to take it to Bo-cheng. And you were talking about sculpting and how sculpting feels like something that's almost an ancient form of creativity. But you were talking about using AI to enhance that. Can you explain?
Of course, for the very first, it's art about, what is art about? For me, I think it's about exploration and creation something new, and to embrace a new world. For this part, if you only learned a kind of old or ancient skills and keep it to create plastic forms or to produce plastic forms, is a kind of art, or artist has a duty or obligation to explore new territory for the human beings. And I think for this part, sculpture or painting or photographer, everything the same. We are trying to exploration, a new territory about aesthetic, about the creativities for the human beings. Or therefore, ancient or traditional skill did not define you as an artist, but define you as a person who uses skills to produce plastic forms. And of course, in the sculpture field, there is also some artists training AI with traditional or classical sculptures like the mentioned before, Ben Snell, and he trained the artificial intelligence with classical sculptures like the Renaissance, like Baroque human body sculptures. But then he asked the AI to create that and a sculpture about human body never seen before. This question asked only by human beings. Artificial intelligence, they won't ask this kind of questions. And the new questions brings new perspective and new answers.
Now, one of our producers recently went to a digital art exhibition at Taichung's National Fine Arts Museum. And as we're looking at this footage, we will also be hearing music by Yu Tingling, who we're also going to hear from shortly. Well, we heard some of their music. Let's now get some of their thoughts on using AI in the creative process. We invited 3 musicians to one of Taipei's most iconic live music venues, Bob Woon Day, and we wanted to hear from creators who use computers in their process. So our guests in this short video make either electronic or experimental music. Let's see what they think.
I find it was fascinating. I'm not using AI to make music yet, but I've been curious about how AI make paintings. There are some people, they ask AI to draw like an animated figure to eat ramen, and then the figure literally eat it with the hand because they don't know they're supposed to eat with chopstick. And then I really appreciate those like glitchy or bugs because I think that's really interesting. That's something that we can never do. But I think the bugs can be fixed because now they improved it. So now if you have this animate figure to eat ramen, it will eat it with chopstick now. So they actually learn. So it has a lot of potential. And then I just find this really fascinating. I would rather make friends instead of being afraid of the ability because for me, I make music for myself. I enjoy making it. And then I don't think AI will ever take that away from me.
The glitch that you're mentioning, this idea, it's in terms of visual art, just kind of disturbing and weird, but I liked it because it's so random and has this like glitch about it. And I haven't listened to music that's been made, or I'm not aware of having listened to music that's made by AI. But if it has similar glitches in it, that would probably appeal to me. I enjoy imperfection anyway. So if they perfect the AI so much that it makes things that are like perfect, then I probably won't like it anymore.
Quality is not the same. I'm making alternative R&B and making more experimental. This experimental is just not the same logic in the music, the composed and lyrics. It's not the we used to the same way to writing the pop song. So I think AI cannot do that.
I sometimes find that the Korean pop is so pop that I would think it's AI. Even it's not made by AI. It's
like
very
K-pop.
precise. Yeah, precise calculate and like the hook and the verse and stuff. It's just, this is exactly what human wants to hear. But I also want to know if AI can ever challenge that and then change our taste too. And maybe we all elevate instead of staying in the TikTok stage. I don't know.
I guess I'm not even aware of 10% of what AI could do to create a song. Like, could I say, I want a track that is composed only of the sound of buses and motorcycles? I don't want to have any other, I don't want drums, or I want every percussive element and all the and all of the melodies to be made from the sound of bus engines and motorcycle engines. And imagine if AI could like make something so good that humans would be like, oh, I love the sound of buses. And I don't know, it might change humanity.
I don't think it will change humanity. You might have different thoughts on that. But Bo-cheng, let me start with you. As someone who watches or studies art, where do you think AI can take art? If we strip away all these arguments we have about copying images, about taking away the soul of art, where can it take it when we're talking about elevating it, as we heard in that conversation?
I think in art, the AI could lead us to the known unknowns, something we know we don't know. Therefore, we find a new territory. But in the meantime, what I'm challenging artists or the creators, who is really matters is the unknown unknowns, something we don't know. For example, as the video says, the K-pop, they use AI, so that's the people who love to listen. But it's no unknowns. We can create, use this kind of principle to create something new, and people loves it. No unknowns. Yeah, it's quite great. But however, the real advance or real progress is about unknown unknowns. And I think this is the for now, because the AI can do a lot of things that the people cannot do now. About no knowns, their reasoning is so impeccable.
So I want to take this a different direction for Jason here. Jason, in the US currently, there is a court case, a class action lawsuit against some of these image creators. And the artists say that their names were put into a database so you could actually search their names, create art to the likeness of their style, and then people can copy them. What do you think about that?
They're still clinging on to the wrong argument. They're saying that it's copying and thereby directly ripping off, photocopying. That's not what it's doing. So their entire case is the foundation of their entire case is a misinterpretation of the technology. The one issue that they do have a point in making is in terms of memorization. There's this thing called memorization where it can almost exactly recreate the image as it was originally, but it's not the same. It's not a photocopy. It's transformative, and we all know that based off even recently the Andy Warhol case that went to the Supreme Court. So it's not realistic. They're being disingenuous, in my opinion.
Okay, so I'd like to, we're coming towards the end of the show, but before we go, I'd like to show you a few images here. One of our producers tried out a popular AI image generation service and tried to recreate a known work of art. If both of you could have a look at these images, can you try to guess who the artist was or have an idea of who the artist possibly could be that they were using? 3 images here for you to look at. All right, so let me start with Jason. Any idea who that could be? Who they base their art on?
Is it all the same?
It's all the same artist. And Bo-cheng, if you have any idea if any of that looks familiar and you can feel a thread there of who the original artist was.
For the very first picture, I would say might come from the Romanticism artist Caspar Frederick. But the second, I don't really recall any artist. But the third is about maybe the Impressionist artist, Monet or, but I don't really have ideas. Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought you
Shall
were
I tell you the name of the artist?
But it's
Okay.
Jason Allen, it's you. We used your art. Tried to find prompts similar to it. And my producer created those 3 pieces. Would you like to sue him?
Yeah, I'd like to see him again now.
You'd like to see them again? Let's bring it on. Let's bring it back on screen. Let me go through image 1. That's the prompt that was used was space opera imperial court looking out through a huge circular window onto landscape. Image 2, space cathedral interior with giant circular window. Image 3, Baroque room with tall ceilings, women wearing corsets and space helmets, wall-sized window looking out towards a hill city landscape. So, are you tempted to sue my producer there for copying your images?
Absolutely not. I'm flattered. I appreciate that. That's amazing. You know, like we're all in this together, exploring new things. So the beauty of it is that I could never recreate that image, even if I used the same prompt that you did. I would get a completely different result. And the point really, I don't think that's really the point, though. The point is like discovery. You know, I really agree with that. Finding what it is that speaks to you most.
Jason Allen and Shen Bo-cheng, thank you so much for your time and company. Thank you for your insights. This has been an education for me, to say the least, and hopefully to our viewers too. Thank you very much for joining us today. Tune in next time and stay connected.